Hey guys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and continue with Chapter 8 with Lesson 3, Factoring Out the GCF. Now, unlike in Lesson 2 where we're just finding the GCF, now we're going to worry about factoring out the GCF from a binomial. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this binomial, 45x cubed minus 20x. And we're going to factor out the GCF here. Okay, so in order to factor out the GCF, we have to find the GCF first. So let's go ahead and do our factoring of 45x to the third. When we do this, we're going to have 45x to the third. Remember, we always want to split up our numbers and our variables. Factor 45, which is 3 and 15, and 5 and 3. Factor our x cubed, we're going to make that 3x's. Okay, now let's go ahead and factor 20x. We're going to factor this by 20 and x, and then factor 20, which is 4 and 5. 4 is 2 and 2. Okay, so the numbers that they have in common. Well, 20x doesn't have a 3, but they both do have a 5. So we take a 5 out. Now, they have no other numbers in common, but they do have a variable in common, so they each have 1x. They have nothing else in common, so we're going to go ahead and multiply those together and get 5x. That's our GCF, okay? It's our GCF. Sorry about that, G's terrible. There we go. So, that was what we did in Lesson 2. Here for Lesson 3, we're going to start worrying about what's left. So, when I mean factor out a GCF, we're going to put that on the outside of the parentheses. And on the inside of the parentheses, we're going to worry about what's left over here, about what they have left. So after we take out a 5x, these two things we circled, we have left as a 3 times 3 times x times x. So 3 times 3 is 9. So we're going to have 9. And x times x is obviously x squared. Okay? Over here, well, we took out all the x's. We took out the 5. All we're left with is 2 times 2, which is going to give us 4. So think about this as doing distribution, but backwards. Instead of distributing what's on the outside of the parentheses, we're trying to take something out to put on the outside of the parentheses. So let's go ahead and try another one. Remember, we only factor out the negative if they both have a negative. Okay, otherwise we're just going to keep that sign the same. I should have chosen a bigger eraser. We'll make it bigger for next time. Okay, so let's go ahead and use an example with negatives. So let's use negative 16x cubed minus 28x squared. So we're going to factor out the GCF here. So again, we have to factor them first. So negative 16x to the third. Split this up, we get negative 16. We get x to the third. We're going to go ahead and just finish off with these x's here. Now for negative 16, remember, since they're both negative, we're worrying about that negative. So it's going to be a negative 1. Now we can just factor 16. Just 4 and 4, which they both break down to 2 and 2. Now let's factor negative 28x squared. Again, splitting this up to our number and our variables. We're going to again split this up to a negative 1 in our number. Take care of these x's again. Remember, your exponent's telling you how many there are of that variable. So to factor 28, we're going to do 4 and 7. And 4 is, again, 2 and 2. So let's go ahead and circle and find our GCF. They each have a negative 1 in common. So negative 1 times. They each have a 2 in common. They each have another 2 in common. And that's it for the numbers, because all 16 has left is 2's, and all 28 has left is 7. So now we're going to worry about our variables. Remember, out of 3 and 2, 2 is smaller, so that means that there's going to be 2 x's in our greatest common factor. So times x. So our GCF is going to become negative 4x squared. That's going to go on the outside of the parentheses. On the inside, we're left with what's not circled here. 2 times 2 times x, which is 4x. Now, because we took the negative sign out, this is now going to become a plus. Because when we take a negative out, what's left is a positive. So we're left with a positive 7 and nothing else. So it's going to be 4x plus 7. Okay, so here we have to actually start worrying about what is left after we take out the greatest common factor. But let's go ahead and do another one. Give you one to do on your own and let you try it. Okay, so let's go ahead and not change my tools. Let's go ahead and use 24x to the 4th plus 18x squared. So go ahead and take a time, pause this video, and go ahead and work this one out. And then we'll come back and we'll go over it together. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over this. So let's go ahead and factor our 24x to the 4th. We're going to get 24x to the 4th. I'm going to take care of my x's real quick. 24 is going to split up to, I like 4 and 6. 4 is going to become 2 and 2. And 6 has become 2 and 3. Remember, it doesn't matter how you factor this. If you want to factor 24 as 2 and 12, as 3 and 8, any of that will work as long as you go all the way down to the prime factors. Okay, so now let's factor 18x squared. So we're going to split this up to 18 and x squared. Take care of our x's real quick. So sloppy x. Okay, 18 is 2 and 9 is 3 and 3. So let's circle what they have in common. They each have a 2. They each have a 3. And they each have 2 x's. So what we're going to have is 2 times 3 times x, which is going to give us our GCF of 6x squared. Now that's going to go on the outside of the parentheses. So on the inside of the parentheses, we're going to have what's left. So over here, we have 2 times x, which is 4x squared. On this side, all that's left is a 3, so we're just going to write plus 3. And that is our final answer here. So hopefully you guys got that right. Again, if you get confused, go back, watch the video again. Complete the worksheet that goes along with this. If there are any questions, get a hold of me. I can help you out. Till next time, guys, have a good one and keep studying.